Hi, everyone. Welcome to We Didn't Turn Out Okay. Today, I'm with two guests who I've been really eager to have on the show, Dale Stabler and Annabel Lawee. They are the co-founders of the platform We Are More Than Moms. They are podcast hosts of their own, and they've really created such a space for moms. Beyond what you do for moms, can you guys share who you both are in your own words?
Okay, I'll go first. So I'm Annabelle. I am born and raised in Montreal. So Dale and I are both Canadian. She's from Toronto. From Montreal. We both went to school together.
I don't even know that
Um,
I knew that. My dad grew up in Montreal, so I love
oh,
Montreal so
amazing.
much, but keep going.
Yes. So I feel like the Canadians, we run really like a tight-knit group and we kind of stick together wherever we go. So Dale was a year ahead of me. So after school, she moved to New York and then I moved to New York right after. And she kind of had this built-in friend group already. So I kind of tagged along with her. And we were really like party friends for our New York days for about 8 years. I was at a startup and then I started my own company called Breeze. We did ghost kitchens for airports. And our first airport was at LAX. So that led me to LA. And then we moved to LA in 2020-ish. Dale kind of moved right after us. And once I sold Breeze, I also had kids around the same time. And I have two kids. One is Gemma, who is just turned 2, and Griffin is 4 months old. And yeah, just kind of like living life with the two under two. Oh, I guess it's not two under two anymore.
Right.
But I'm also a career coach on the side, so I help women kind of reach their potential and their dreams of what they want to create. And I do this with Dale, and I'm also a brand consultant. So yeah, that's kind of a little bit about me.
Amazing.
And yeah, so as Annabelle said, I am also Canadian. I'm from Toronto, born and raised. I moved to New York after I graduated college and I was working various jobs in the fashion industry. And then I started a social media account called Sweats in the City, which I still do to this day. And it's fitness reviews and wellness. And about 2 years ago, coming up on 2 years, Annabelle and I decided to launch More Than Moms. So we have our social platforms, we have our IRL group. We are also in the midst of launching our next big thing, which is a group coaching platform for moms called The Next Chapter. So excited to launch this. Yeah, and we can share a lot more about, why we're doing it and the whole identity piece of, what led us here.
That's amazing. I didn't realize that you did groups, number one, which I first-handedly can say is really rewarding on the side of bringing moms together in a group setting. I think also launching or rolling out this coaching feels exceptionally important right now. And we can get into identity a little bit, but I think right now there's a lot out there speaking more louder about how moms naturally go through an identity shift and feel like they have to choose. And so being able to coach them in that way feels so incredible to know that you're doing that. So I'm excited to see what you guys do. Can you
Yeah.
guys share a little bit about, because it'll get into sort of this identity shift that we naturally go through, why you chose to do that and what you're hearing from moms that led to that?
It's
Yeah.
so funny because it was literally one Instagram post that did so well when we opened up about identity. And the more we opened up about it, the more engagement we were getting. And we were like, wait a minute. This is so, it resonates with so many people. And obviously, we all know about the identity change of becoming a mom. This isn't something new.
Right.
But one thing that really hit with our audience was, you go on maternity leave, you want to spend time with your are spending time with your new baby, you're figuring things out, and then you have that moment, that sinking feeling of, I don't want to go back to work, or I don't know what's next for me, or, if I'm going to take time away from my child and do something, it has to be worth it. Or the reverse side is, I need to do something outside of this. So there is that shift that it's sinking for a lot of people. And that's when we were like, you know what, there's so much coaching. There's coaching telling, people how to lose weight or shift careers, but there isn't anything specifically tied to this identity crisis that we go through.
It's
Yeah,
so true.
exactly what Dale said. And it's funny because when we started More Than Moms, like the name More Than Moms is exactly this. So it's funny that it kind of led us full circle here because our whole premise with launching that with that name was that we are more than just moms. Like, yes, mom is such a big part of identity, but even if you're not working, you're a sister, you're a friend, you're a daughter, you're so many other things as well. And I think the more we step into our own identities, the better like moms we can be for our kids.
Absolutely. I think that it's, I almost feel, and maybe you guys feel this too, with already kind of having that entrepreneurial kind of foundation to go to. I don't know exactly when. I know that Dale had Sweats in the City, but I don't know exactly when you launched We Were More Than Moms, alongside giving birth to your first. But I launched what was called Mo Mommies when I was 9 months pregnant. And I think it's because going through IVF and feeling so unsettled in in the work I was doing. I was a center director of an early childhood center, which I love so much, but I felt like I realized that it wasn't going to give me space to be a mom if it didn't even give me space to like be able to do all of my appointments and IVF and things like that. So I preemptively sort of was like, there's going to be this shift, but what? And then even then I went through like, wait, I thought this was going to be one thing and it's not that thing. And I don't want to leave my baby. Like you just have these, it's just crazy that you have to go through it alongside bringing life into this world. Can you guys share personally how you felt at that time?
Yeah, and by the way, to your point, I think there's like so many things that people prepare you for when you have a baby. They say, "Oh, you're not going to sleep," or "Oh, like you need to hire a lactation specialist if you want to breastfeed," or "Oh, like your body is going to go through this." And people talk a lot about these type of things, but no one has ever told me about my identity.
It's
And
true.
no one ever told me that there was going to be an identity crisis. So I think it's a conversation we really want to normalize because we know it's there, but it's not being talked about like a lot of the other things are being talked about.
Yeah.
So that's one thing. I think for me personally, I went through of like a little bit of a reverse identity crisis. I started my company in 2019 right before COVID and we launched this airport ghost kitchen business like 3 months before COVID started and then the entire thing shut down overnight. So I felt like during COVID I had this like identity crisis almost like who am I if I'm not the founder of Breeze? And then when COVID kind of started going down a bit, I drove to LA. So from New York, we drove to LA. We put our stuff in storage and really tried to survive, and we did. And it ended up by doing really well after. And then I sold Breeze right before my daughter was born. So I had this like identity crisis almost like before she was born. Like, what am I going to say when I walk into a room? Like, who am I if I'm not the founder of Breeze? And I realized that a lot of my ego was wrapped in this like kind of female founder life. And then I was questioning who am I without it. And then the timing was actually really nice because it gave me this white space to play around with postpartum. I knew I wanted to be doing something and I was still coaching. I did career coaching on the side for a while. But I also had the opportunity to kind of look inside and be like, if I'm not spending time with my daughter, I want to be spending time in something that is fulfilling me and I'm surrounding myself with people who are lifting me up. And I think you really go through this time where your priorities really shift. And if you don't have the tools to really deal with that, you end up either maybe staying in a job that you hate because maybe it pays the bills. And while that's like a real case and that's, financial security is a thing that you really need, there's also other ways you can do things on the side to get a foundation so that you can ultimately quit and have another financial security with another job that maybe fulfills you more. So I think for us, we really want to just like help moms get to a place where if they're choosing to spend time away from their kids, they're doing something that feels fulfilling and core to them and part of their magic and spreading their gifts so that they can feel like a happier and more fulfilled mom. And when you're a happier, more fulfilled mom, you're probably a better mom too to your kids.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's what I meant that like even though I had thought that I had this idea of what I was going to create as this like entrepreneur new mom, I still was asking myself those questions. It took different shapes and forms. Like, is this enough for me to leave my kid for? All of that. It had to evolve. And yeah, just to say it's not like a straight line. Even if you make the decision to shift somewhere, it might look different along the way, right? Like, but it's about kind of making that initial choice or decision or recognition that like something needs to shift.
Yeah, it's the first step I think is just being self-aware about it and being like, oh, this feels a little like I'm not as fulfilled as I used to be by this career now that I have a baby. And just
Right.
kind of to starting to explore like, oh, like do I have to do this? Like what is the reason why I'm still doing this? And then see if there's another route that you can do something else that has all the other benefits that you are missing.
Yeah. It's like really deep work, I'm sure.
Yeah, you have to be ready to do the work. And that's why like we're starting this program. It's actually a year-long program of kind of group coaching around the kind of identity piece of postpartum. But I think together with, the coaching, but also being surrounded by shared experiences, other moms going through it together, I think we can really make a difference and help women find their fulfillment.
Absolutely. Yeah. Dale, can you share your experience?
Yeah, and you know, going through motherhood with Annabelle, she really helped me transition into this through my identity crisis. So mine is a little unique because I still am on social media. And, I had a baby, and I think a big part of me was trying to prove to everyone, like, I'm still the same old Dale. I just have a kid. And I was shying away from sharing those parts of me on social media because my account is very fitness forward. My business partner, she doesn't have children. So I didn't want to go down the route of turning it into a mom account. And I also even got some pushback when I did post about this. Like, this isn't a motherhood account, this is a fitness account. On the other hand, I did get a lot of people asking to share because a lot of people were in that position, but I felt like I didn't know how to show up online and I would freeze, and it really robbed me of my creativity because I'm I'm probably an overshare to a fault. Like, I love to share what I'm doing. I love to share what I've learned. I love to inspire people. And I felt like I was trying to pretend that I was still pre-baby Dale. And when Annabelle and I were chatting, we actually started More Than Moms as like a way to meet and connect with other moms. But when I was thinking about this, I was like, I need a way to share the details of motherhood that I don't have to feel silly about sharing my opinion on the baby browser machine. And for me, as someone who's like leans more creative, I needed that outlet. And I think a big part of me did struggle with, who is Dale after having kids? How do the mom shaming and all that can be a little scary to enter on that territory online.
Yeah.
But I really think because of this identity crisis, we started More Than Moms. And now now we have our story and our journey to help inspire other women, whether they want to do something on social media or otherwise, to kind of follow that inkling in them to, explore what lights them up and what, they want to do after they have a kid.
Yeah. What you're saying like resonates so much. I think whether or not like you're sharing openly, which I relate to that aspect of it, and how like you can freeze sometimes when, you know, stuff gets in the way of your creativity, but also just like that whole real feeling for different reasons of like, it's still business as usual, even though I just went through this like mind blowing transformative experience. Even if you had like a birth experience that was super smooth, which we'd argue is more rare than common, you go through so much and you have a human being. And so I just really relate to that. I'm sure others do, right? Like it's sort of like if you lean too far into it, like you lean too far away from like who you are. And it's just so, tough to think about that like your new calling is being a mom. Like someone's depending on you. You're bringing life into this world, but yet like if you lean too far into that, like you feel like you're giving away other parts. And so I feel like what your platform represents is like that you don't have to struggle like that alone, and that there's a way to like kind of coach yourself or with support through it. So yeah, I just really related to that and how much I would have wanted that, right?
I
Like we
think the reality is too is that like we're not going backwards in our bodies, in our life, in our identity, in our just in any way. We're not going backwards. So when people are like, when you fit into those old
oh
jeans or when
yeah.
you get back into your work and your normal job, it's like we are different people. And I think the more we resist of not changing, the worse it becomes. So it's more of a kind of like welcoming this like new identity and this new self and this new size and this new everything, and just kind of going with it and moving forward instead of trying to like get back.
Absolutely. Yeah. I love my husband will like always try to remind me of like how I'm at my best, post motherhood and stuff like that when I'm like feeling down, he'll be like, look, whether it's like looks or personality or just like strength or all these things. And I think that we need more of that, right? Not just from our
I love
husbands when they're
that.
feeling bad for us.
Honestly, can I just say, like, I was thinking about this morning. As much as we talk about what motherhood's taken away from us, and like, especially from an identity standpoint, we have all these, missing the old us. This is like the best I feel in terms of every area because of motherhood. Like, I
Yeah.
think I'm the most efficient, the most caring. Like, even I was like, okay, yes, I don't have my pre-baby body, and like, sure, there are things that could change, but because I had a baby, like now I feel like 10 times more like stronger in my head about like everything is just amplified when you become
Yeah.
a mom. And I actually think this is like a 2.0 version. It launches a 2.0 version of yourself. And people don't really talk about that. It can actually bring out the best in you. And I think that it really has brought out the best in me in so many ways. And that's what I think is so beautiful about motherhood is that we all talk about like, ugh, like angry moms and like what they're missing. But I actually think like this is the best era. Like it's sometimes it takes a while to get there to see that. And like it does take time. But I'm like, wow, like it's actually changed me so much more for the better.
I
Yeah.
love that, Dale. I couldn't agree more. And I knew Dale before, so like, yes, Dale 2.0. I would say like
Yes.
3.0, 4.0. But it also like I think Dale and I were both again Canadian. I think there's this like people pleasing element that we both had. I think we were a little too nice to a lot too many people, and I think you can get really trampled upon and in turn not just in terms of your time, but your energy and your headspace when you keep saying yes to so many things that are not serving you and are actually draining. And I think I can speak for both of us that we've really learned to how to say no and to prioritize our time. And we're not just going to go to an event because we got invited, or we're not just going to go spend time with someone who because I've known them for 10 years. It's more like we're really like protecting of our energy and our headspace and our time now. And for me, like I have a way I make decisions. It's either does it support my family, which is, financial work, taking care of the kids, taking them places, doing any errands for them, or does it fill my cup, which is like having conversations like these or spending quality time with a friend or getting a massage or whatever it is. And if it doesn't fall into one of those buckets, then it's just not going to happen. It's going to be a no.
Absolutely. And that takes time. I mean, for a lot of people, like I mean, for all of us really, but I was just listening to Dale when you said that, which I also loved. I just want to reiterate, not even knowing you before, um, that you feel that way at your oldest is 2 years old, right?
Two in a few
I
months.
mean, to me that's like it's remarkable. Like I feel that way, but I'm 7 years in. I did not feel that way too, and we actually this could segue into the next thing, which is what I want to talk about, which is comparison, right? Like we shouldn't compare how quickly it took you to get to your 2.0 or whatnot, but just that I absolutely believe that. But I think like people like you are helping to redefine that. If we think of our parents, or at least maybe personally, I do think that narrative has made us not really believe there's a 2.0 version, right? Like, and not all of them. I'm talking about like I grew up with a mom who gave up her job and stayed at home and leaned into motherhood for better or worse, only to now, she's in her 70s and I know like wishes she had something of her own, and whether it didn't need to be a career. But I think things like that, whether you choose a career or not, but just it's sort of antiquated, right? Like that we can unlock and give ourselves so much more space and be more efficient. And like you said, Annabelle, like make decisions that open up space for other things. Motherhood pushes you to do that. But I want to ask you guys just in terms of like comparison, because I think there's so much of that. I mean, I just did it, I know, in a more positive way, but how did you feel about that once becoming moms? And
We talk about this all the time. because comparison is amplified in motherhood. And I think it was way stronger for me as a first time mom because we don't know any better. So it's, we're looking to other people and we're in the mommy and me classes and we're listening to what the doctors say and the milestones and how the other moms are doing it. We feel insecure because we've never done it before,
Right.
understandably. So we're looking around and seeing, are we doing it right? How are we measuring up? And it comes up in so many areas. Like everything ends up comparison. And I remember, my first hit on his physical milestones, it took him a lot longer. And it literally like ate me up. Like I was like so worried that he was, never going to get there, or why are the other kids doing this, or what are the other moms doing at home that are making them crawl or walk. And I remember opening up to my friend and she was like, Dale, like when we got together, like, I don't know, the babies were a couple months old and your son was reaching for a toy. Mine wasn't. So I asked the doctor and I'm like, oh my God, we were actually crazy. And now going through this a second time and like really realizing like how much I don't care because we know the drill. We know that, first of all our kids are unique. There's always going to be something they're ahead at and something they're behind at. And then as moms, we're doing our best. And I think one thing that I've had to do is one, really mute accounts that make me feel shitty about myself. And that's why, like, Annabelle and I really try to be real and honest and share the good, the bad, everything in between. And then also not surround myself with moms that I know would be a trigger for me or put me in places that I would feel like it's amplified. So, and then to have your like gut check moms, like I think it's really important. Like when Annabelle and I both feel like something happened or we feel shame or we feel comparison, we tell each other. And the other, I feel like really, we just like gut check each other and kind of like say, hey, like, and give
Like
perspective. And I feel
when
like
one of you makes the other feel that way inadvertently or
I think
something.
so. Like we really do that. So it helps to have a friend who just doesn't judge you and just, holds space for you and also shares like their faults and yeah.
Yeah. Oh my
Yeah.
God, I love that.
Yeah, I love what you said, Dale, because even this whole gut check thing, we just did this like a couple days ago, but like Dale and I, our kids are in soccer together, and my daughter's a lot more introverted. It takes her a while to like warm up, and I was there and I was like getting really down on myself. I'm like, Gemma's not participating. She doesn't want to do this. She's running her way. She's tantruming or whatever. And Dale like gut checked me and she was like, every kid is just so different. It takes for Leo, this is something else that he has a hard time with. But for Gemma, this comes easy. And it just like always like we always like kind of right away we try to compare. We're like, why is my kid not doing that? But every kid has their own thing and we all just kind of go through it at different times in motherhood. And I know Dale went through like a crazy time with her son who had toe walking when he was like what, Dale, like 15 months or around then, and that was like her really 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 hard time during motherhood. And she came out of it so resilient and so strong, and now she's helping so many other people, other moms who are facing similar things with their kids, whereas like other people's journey or challenging journey into motherhood may come later. Like right now I'm having a challenging time with my toddler. So I think everyone kind of goes through it. Like no one goes through motherhood unscathed. And the whole point is to support and lift up other women, not try to say like, oh, like you, or judge them, or we get a lot of like people will judge us that we have nannies, and like listen, like we do have nannies, we work full time, and I'm not gonna hide from saying that because it's the truth. And I am very grateful that we have that and we have that support. But at the same time, like we need to be like lifting moms up,
Yeah.
not putting more judgment and more shame onto them.
Yes. Oh my God, there's so much in there. Yeah. Like, just like, why do we have to like hide certain realities or experiences of our own motherhood journey because of that? And I think, because of the potential for others to shame and like, why is that even there? It's just such a shame. But the other thing that I heard from you guys that I resonate with so much is like when we see our kid, maybe being a little bit later to something or something being a little bit more challenging for them, something that's helped me a lot as well as like what you guys are doing for each other. I don't have like a business partner like that. I have a few different ones, but you guys spend, I think, a lot more time together than me, who's spread out a little bit, is I'll reflect back like how tough it felt for me in a moment of a tantrum or when my child wasn't participating, or even in the moment, I'll be like, if I was observing some other child and mom in this experience, I wouldn't judge them, right? Like, why am I judging myself? Or I see another mom working through that. Like, that's me right now, right? Like, I kind of try to take myself out of the shame by being like, you wouldn't be this hard on somebody else. Why are you being this hard on yourself? And it's helped me even with my kids as a tool. They're a little bit older, but maybe you'll remember this because it's sort of your own advice. When they've like been hard on themselves about a drawing or something like that, I'll say, if I drew this and was out of the lines, would you be saying this stuff to me? Like that I'm a bad drawer or something like that? And it's helped them. I was like, you're not being nice to Tess right now, or kind to Tess. And so I hope that sticks with you. It's been such a tool, but you guys just actually presented the tool that you're doing with each other.
That's so special. I love that. That's a really good point. And I think sometimes we're also our own harshest critic, and we compare ourselves not only to other people, we compare ourselves to the past versions of ourselves.
Yes.
So, for example, like, when now I'm better at the whole body image thing with my second, but the first time I was like staring at old wedding photos and bathing suit photos. I'm like, oh my God, like, why can't I get back there? Now I'm like, okay, I get it now, but it's that, or I'm like comparing how much I used to be able to do in a day versus now. Like sometimes we need to just also let go of that previous part of ourselves and be like, we're a better, stronger version of ourselves now. And again, no going backwards. And our benchmarks are different, like we're just different persons. So we can't hold ourselves to the same standards as we did before.
Yeah, that's such another reality, right? Of like this whole, and it's usually when Matt will be like, you're so much better now. But yeah, we like and also we hold on to like fantasies of what we pictured we'd be at or where our kids would be at a certain point. And instead of just leaning into like where we're at, where our kids are at. I was just talking to someone yesterday on the podcast and about being present. And he's like, when we're not present, it's because we're fighting a current feeling. And it's like kind of the same thing, right? Like when we're unable to be happy with who we are now, it's because we're fighting that by holding on to like the wedding from 20 years ago or whatever it was. I'm aging myself right now, but yeah, like
No, you're so right.
yeah,
Well, it's like even I remember like when my son was born, I would see on social media like all these picture perfect videos of the toddler holding the baby and feeding the baby, and it was like so perfect. And I remember that's like that was like a fantasy I clunged on to. And
yeah,
then when I had my baby, I was like trying to get that picture perfect moment too, and it just was not happening. My toddler did not want to have anything to do with him for a while. And again, it's like I shared that. Like I want to normalize
yes,
that. And when I shared it, everyone was like, "Oh my God, same. Like thank you for sharing that," because sometimes when we see things on social media or in the wild, you kind of make that a fantasy of yours and you think that it's going to happen to you. And when it doesn't happen, as you said, you take yourself out of the present moment and you can't even enjoy the moment because you're too busy fixated on this fantasy that's not reality.
yeah. And people like you are helping so much with that. Yeah, it's why I share the ugly a lot too. I don't even want to call it ugly, but why I share those struggles
It's
too.
reality.
Like,
Real stuff, yeah.
yeah, it's so powerful. You guys talk to so many moms. This podcast is called We Didn't Turn Out Okay. So I just want to ask you this question. Where do you feel like besides what we've talked about, do you feel like there's an area where moms really aren't talking about where they're not okay? Identity is one we talked about. And when we compare, I think that's mixed in with like, again, not being satisfied with where we're at. But are there other things that you feel like you've learned through talking to so many moms that,
I have a couple actually. I think one of them is asking for help. I think a lot of people shy away because of the shame and stigma of asking for help, whether that's, to do certain day-to-day tasks or extra childcare or things like that. So I'd say that's one of them. And then another thing is like the mental load. It's a lot of things that you don't see. It's very hidden, the mental load. But, when your nanny calls out sick, it's on you to figure out how you're going to get through tomorrow of meetings and childcare and taking them to the dentist and all of those. And it's not to say that like it's a bad thing. It's just this
Right.
like emotional load that adds on to everything else that is on your plate. And I think that that often is something people struggle with, but maybe don't know how to verbalize what that feeling is.
When you said shame around asking for help, where do you think that comes from? That they we feel like we should be able to do it all, or our moms did it all, or it's privileged if we can't do it all. What?
Dale, I feel like you have a
Yeah,
good.
I was gonna say,
Oh,
I think we had this conversation with someone how it's like honestly the patriarchy. Like we as moms, and I've actually heard it from male people in my family, like, this mom doesn't work. Like, it's good that you work and you have a life outside being a mom. And I was like,
that is
when people
shaming.
say things trying to compliment you, but I was actually like
Yes.
deeply offended by that because a big part of it is, and a big part of why I feel like a lot of moms stay working even if they, want to be home is because of this fear of judgment, who they are
Yeah.
outside of motherhood. And it was a really upsetting conversation because it's like the system isn't set up for moms to
It's
thrive.
so,
Working
yeah.
moms, especially like in the US, like maternity leave is absolutely non-existent unless your company is willing to give it to you. And it's such a sad system because childcare is so expensive, and it's is it worth it to work for a lot of people if they're
Right.
paying that all for childcare? And it's just a very touchy subject, and I feel like moms can't win, which was going to be my one of my points for I think what moms
Yeah.
go through and what are hard is the mom guilt, because we will always feel like we're not measuring up either in motherhood or at work, or even if we feel guilty for wanting more or for doing something for ourselves. We're always like, well, we could be home doing X, Y, and Z for our kids. Or, I feel guilty that I was at a meeting when my, son went to his first, I don't know, was on the swing for the first time and I missed it because he was with the nanny or he was at daycare. And I think this topic of mom guilt, which I never understood. I kept hearing about it before I became a mom. I was like, I don't understand, like why someone would feel guilty. And then you become a mom and you're like, no, it's literally every choice you make comes with this underlying guilt. And I think it's very hard. And I think as a friend, I feel guilty sometimes. Like I'm not pouring into certain friendships because I just don't have the capacity. I think, there's so many things that we want to do. And I remember Annabelle saying, like, if it doesn't contribute to my family, my well being, or fill my cup, like, it's a no. And I really try to live by that. So yeah, I think that's one big area. And then I was gonna say loneliness for a lot of moms. And that's why a lot of them seek community, because a lot of them feel very isolated. Even though so many women are going through it, there's so many, our experiences are all, each experience is all unique, but they're all the same. So it's like you're going through something like miscarriage and you really feel isolated because no one, like, you're not
Right.
supposed to talk about it until, you're 12 weeks. Or you're going through trying to conceive and you're not telling anyone because you don't want them to know where you are in your
Right.
journey. And then, your late nights, you're nursing, your baby's got colic, you are maybe experiencing postpartum depression or anxiety, and it contributes to loneliness. Or you're with home with your baby all day and you're not socializing. So I think that is a big thing for a lot of moms.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is exactly why we started this community. And I think for us, it's like we don't do surface level conversation. And that's the reason why also we host a lot of the events at my house, because we really want to create this like safe space for vulnerability and openness and for people to share like deep things, because we can all talk about the weather and the playground and whatever with whomever on the street. But in order for us to really open up and get our feelings out and to, help each other feel less alone, we need to share and we need to be vulnerable. And so we really try to create those safe places for people to share so that they don't feel alone, because motherhood can be so isolating, even when you know that other people are going through it.
Yeah. It's so true. And it's why bringing moms together and doing what you guys are doing is so important. I mean, it's why I insist on always leading one mom group, even if it's like 10 people. it's a smaller group or bigger one at any given time, because I just want to stay connected to that. That's like how I started, was bringing moms together, and just the magic that comes from the conversations, not only facilitated by me. What really I'm doing is allowing them to feel less alone, right? It's like under the premise that you're coming to like learn from me, but really it's they're bringing the magic to each other. And that's really why I wanted to create this podcast, is because I think when you share that from so many different guests, people feel less alone too. They want to feel heard, or that other people are, going through similar things. I wanted to share an area that, as you were talking, that I felt like, for me, felt like an area where moms didn't feel okay was, and still, even with a 5 and 7-year-old, was the stigma when like you get something wrong, whether it be like the wrong time for a birthday, or like you forget a gift, or like the real like nuances of like our open tabs. And this might just be a me thing, because I so want to get it all right. I'm a perfectionist, but the like, what moms do to each other, like, oh, she thought that it was there. And not even just about me, but like I hear how moms talk about each other sometimes. And I feel like we're like proving something by like never getting it wrong, when it should be like helping each other. I love the moms that are like, Jen, here's the Venmo link to send for the teacher, gift that we're doing. You probably didn't read the email. And I think we need more of that, like helping to fill each other in where we may not be able to get it right. Right. Like just, yeah, I
I
think,
love that. I think I'm also, I feel like a recovering perfectionist, and I've really kind of leaned into the whole like, oh, it's okay. And like, even like in front of my daughter, like, I don't want her to see me try to be perfect. Like, I want her to see me like trip and fall and be like, oops, mommy fell, or like
yes,
make a whole mess with like red beets on the floor and just be like, oops, we'll clean that up, instead of like getting upset about it. So I also am really trying to like lean into that. And I think like, it's just really important to find your people who can,
yes.
share what they're going through and share the mistakes that they've made. And it's so not perfect. Like Dale and I have like ongoing voice notes back and forth like 50 times a day about like all the random shit
I
that happened
love
in that day.
that. Right. My friend has a group chat, and she was telling a story how like she was like, these stories are so unhinged. And I was like, I want to be in this chat. Like, she left her keys in like the cheese aisle of the grocery store. And like, I love that. I don't think we all need to be leaving our
Yeah.
keys, but it's like normalized. Like, I
But
share when I show
even,
up to the wrong birthday location
yeah,
on Instagram. We
Dale,
missed the
remember
birthday.
when Leo got stuck in the car because the keys?
Oh my God. Yeah. At the time, probably one of the most traumatic moments of my entire life. But yeah, it's like one of those things where these things happen,
Yeah.
and it's just
It's not a reflection.
normalizing, yeah, these things, like, so we feel less alone. And yeah,
More
And
that's
permission to make
no one
mistakes.
activates like moms do. Like when you ask a mom group for something, everyone kind of
yes.
like activates and goes to help you. Like even,
Yes.
like Dale and I like don't have nannies this week, and right away I'm like, Dale, what do I do? And she's right away, she gives me like four numbers. Our mom group, same thing. And everyone is just, when you have a supportive community, everyone
Yes.
just like works together, and it like amplifies everything that you're going through in the most beautiful, positive way. I
Yes.
seriously would not be here like mentally if it wasn't for the moms, the core moms in my life. Like there's just no way. You need an outlet. Like listen, my husband is amazing, but he'll never understand this like unique part of me of being a
Hmm.
mom. And I think it's just so important for moms to have that outlet.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Our
Yeah.
husbands will never go through pregnancy and birth and experience these emotions like that we do. So we really need to talk about these things with motherhood, like with other mothers, or like the changes in our body, or like, you know, the kind of diapers we're using after, we have birth. Like those are the things that like our husbands will never get. So
Yeah.
it's just so important to find a community of moms or individual moms that can be there for you.
I'm
Yes.
like going through the like 4 month postpartum hair loss situation that I shared on Instagram yesterday. And my husband was like, I don't see anything wrong. Like your hair looks beautiful. And she's like, you don't understand.
Oh my
Dale.
Like my
God.
bangs are growing out. I don't know if you can see, but like
It's
it's full. It's full.
Yeah, but
postpartum
like
being.
sharing that, right? I'm like a little ahead of you guys. And I will say, like 7 years ago, no one was sharing that. What they were sharing was like,
Oh,
I'm
for
out and
sure.
about still like posting my partnerships with my infant. And like, it was really hard. So yeah, thank you for being
Yeah.
part of like the
Oh,
normalizing of all of that. And now you guys are, I still feel like it's fresh, 2 years in. I don't
Yes.
even know if you guys got to say that, but you both have 2-year-olds and infants. Did you get to
Yes,
share the
I have
ages?
a almost 2.5-year-old and a 9-month-old, and Annabelle's
4 months and just turned 2. So we both had 2 under 2 for a little bit of time.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like finally I'm getting into a little groove now. Like also the nanny being gone this week gave me more confidence. I'm like, oh, I can do this. Like
Yeah.
I can like figure it out. I can cancel everything. I mean, I think that's also the beauty, and we're very fortunate that like we work for ourselves. So it's a blessing and sometimes a curse that we're the ones that can always figure it out because we do work for ourselves, so we can cancel meetings even though it's not amazing, but we have the autonomy to do that, which again is a privilege and we don't take that for granted. But I think this week really helped me get more confidence managing both of them and working and just be like, oh, I can do this. Like, and it's like baby steps. I don't need to think like ahead. I just need to think about right now in the present, like you were saying earlier, of what we're gonna do right now.
Yeah.
And it's actually been like very like heartwarming and heart filling this week. So yeah.
I love that. I think when you like rip the band-aid and like jump into the fire, so to speak, of the chaos, like you come out so much more equipped and feeling so much more capable, right? Like now
Yeah.
it's like there won't be a fear that if you don't have childcare one day, right? Like you're doing it, both of you. Um, yeah.
The other thing, by the way, people don't talk about, they don't like to talk about is sleep training.
Oh my God. Yeah, have you guys interviewed
yeah.
any? Yeah, that's
Oh,
a
we talk
huge
about it all the time, and like there isn't.
meaning people like
There's a new,
are like ashamed if they are or if they're not.
yes. Well, I think there's a new wave, and like, listen, we're very much the moms. Like, whatever you do, obviously, if it's legal and safe, whatever you do, and whatever choices you make, because there's always another side of the coin. Like, you do
Yes.
you. But I find that there's this new wave of like you're going to mess up your child if
Oh,
you
right.
teach them
Because of
healthy
the
sleep
whole right.
habits, and you like, you know, it's that kind of shame, that fear instills fear in moms who sleep hygiene is so important for your whole family that if some people are like suffering, and not everyone has the privilege to take off 3 years of work to be up in the middle of the night, whenever their kids need them. And there's if you can do it without, if you don't want to sleep train, that's totally great, but don't instill fear in moms that do,
Absolutely.
because at
Right.
the end of the day, like, there's no proven research,
Ab-
and it doesn't mean that you let them cry for you know days on end. It's not like that. It's my philosophy is like, the whole point of sleep training is actually making it so that they don't have to cry. You're getting ahead of their needs. And there were moments where we did do cry it out, and we have a gentle method of sleep training. But now when I know he cries in the middle of the night, I know something is wrong.
Right.
I know that, and I go in there. Like, I know he's sick, I know he's teething, I know his arm is stuck, because he knows how to self-soothe. So I can tend to his needs. And I know, like, there was one time that he had a massive spit up all his food, and he woke up crying at 9 a.m. and I was like 9 p.m. and I was like, you know what? He's probably hungry because of that. And that's like, so I go, I can tend to his needs
Yeah.
versus being like, so I think there's two sides of the coin, and we talk about this a lot. And I think however you choose to do it is totally great, but there's a lot of shaming I
So
see on my
much.
feed about that.
There
Yeah, it's
is
the
a
same
lot.
thing with formula and nursing. Like
Yes.
people love to shame people on it, but in the end of the day, like you have to do what's best for your family, and that should just be enough. It should just be period. I'm doing this period, not opening room for people to
Right.
come with opinions and shame. That's just not fair.
You're so right. I was thinking back that I felt sort of ashamed when I led my first moms groups that everyone was sleep training and they're like, how aren't you? Which, mind you, at the time I probably was along the lines of like, oh, because I don't believe in it. But really, second time around, I realized it was also that they had reflux, so I really couldn't. And I will argue that I even did like 12 by 12 when I felt like reflux was under control, meaning that I even felt ashamed that like I wasn't getting a better handle on the sleep. Like, how aren't you doing that? So I feel like you can't ever win. And of course, there was the
Yes.
shame around breastfeeding and the amount that I put on myself with the reflux and all that, that like, it's just why? Like, men don't get shamed for things about their body or like things like, oh, I'm like choosing to do this sport or that sport for my kid. Like, it's just, it's crazy that it's not only shame around like these really sensitive things, like our breasts and like our sleep hygiene and our kids, but also just that it even exists for us and like, you know, as the default parent, you know, in our situations like we're talking. um can you share a little bit about like how you've seen that evolve for yourselves, right? Like, did you feel shame when you would see that, or you've always felt like that's noise I need to omit from my life?
So I will say the first time around, I felt a lot of shame, like right away. I went to these
About
mommy
sleep or
groups.
breastfeed or all of it?
Oh,
Oh,
everything, everything. Like I just felt shame, period. I started a mommy and me thing at about 6 weeks, or 7 weeks with Gemma. And right away it was like, they should be hitting this milestone at this time and this, and then everyone was saying their experiences. And I was like, oh my God, my baby's not doing that. Or, oh my God, am I not good enough? Like, then, and it just brought on so much shame, right away from the beginning. My daughter was also 3 weeks early, and she was very small. She wasn't in the NICU or anything, but she was very small. And right away, the doctors are like, "You need to give her formula right away." No, 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 and all this like fear mongering. And then I felt shame that my milk hadn't come in yet. Versus the second time around, my baby was also born 3 weeks early, coincidentally, and when the doctors were trying to tell me that, I was like, oh, no, no, I got it. Don't worry. Like, he's going to be fine. It just takes a while for him to get back to his birth weight because he was 3 weeks early. So it will take him 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks. And
right.
he is perfectly healthy. And I listened to my intuition there, and I didn't kind of listen to the fear mongering. But my first time, there was just so much noise, and it really affected my mental health. The second time, I knew when it was noise that I was just like, I'm not listening to that. And I just shut it up.
Yeah. Yeah, that's so powerful to know when it's noise versus just, yeah,
Yeah.
something that maybe you want to incorporate, but yeah. What about you, Dale? Do you feel like you evolved from first to second, or like you right away were like, this is shame inducing and like I'm not even gonna go there?
So definitely evolved from first to second. Like not even a comparison. Like it's funny. Like as much as I was comparing, like there's completely different experiences. I think the first time similar to Annabelle, I didn't feel confident in my decisions and my choices because I always felt like my mom knew best or the doctor knew best or comparing myself to the girls in my mommy and me groups and what my friends were doing. I also had a lot of friends that gave birth like within the days surrounding me. Like the day I gave birth, I had a couple of friends that gave birth and it just so happened and I found that having close friends like a day apart, sometimes you're just looking at them and you're like, because you're on the exact same, like they're born on the same day or like the day before or after, so you're just looking around and you're like, comparing. And I feel like this time around it's met with so much ease. I will say, like, my sister, the first time around, I would like tell my sister these things, and she has 3 kids, and she'd always say, like, I don't know what it is with Americans, but everything, they just try to commodify everything and turn everything into a business. So, like, for example, when my son wasn't crawling, like, people suggested this PT and that system and this thing, or they would
Right. Get this
everything is a
product.
business,
Yeah.
every product. And she was like, I don't know what it is, but in the US, she says, they make a business out of everything. So I'm not, she's like, I'm not used to that. Like, I just kind of do whatever. And she's very go with the flow. So she kind of gut checked me, like, Dale, like, you're a little, like, extreme about some of these things that are just like when I showed her this spreadsheet I had for my first baby, and like every single thing was ticked off but what I needed to prepare and every document and everything for my birth plan and everything. She was like, that's psycho. Like, just get some diapers. Like, you're fine. And I was like, well, okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you know what? To Dale's point, I spent the summer in Paris last summer. We spent 2 months there and we like lived like locals. And it was so much more relaxed, like similar to like Dale's sister in Canada. And the kids didn't go to like 15 different activities and different classes. It was like you go to the park, you get dirty and messy, you come home. There's no like snacks everywhere. There's no like kids like running the entire world. They're just part of society. And I just find that like sometimes we have to gut check ourselves that like we live in this like country
Yeah.
where it's like more is better, more classes, more food, more stimulus, more everything, but in reality sometimes we have to go back to the basics and like remove all of that.
Right. And not judge if we're removing some of that, right? Like,
Yeah.
right. If we were like living that Parisian lifestyle here, our fear is like, oh, I'm the one without the snacks or without doing the activities. Yeah.
Yes. Exactly.
I relate so much to everything that you guys have said. I want to be mindful of the hour and time. I want to ask you both one last thing. We've reflected a lot, and I think so many of my listeners will get so much out of this. But can you each answer what you would want your pre-mom self to know that you now know? If you can say one thing, besides all the nuggets of gems that you've already shared.
I would say just listen to myself, like listen to my intuition and lead with that and stop looking for other people's opinions unless you really need that.
Love that.
Yeah, I would say don't be scared. Don't try to be a martyr. Don't try to do it all. Like
Yeah.
ask for help. And there's no shame in that. There's no reason to try to prove to anyone that you're super mom and that you can do it all and that you know, and I think one thing is that we all expect motherhood to come so naturally and that we'll wake up, we'll have our baby and be like, oh, like I just know exactly what to do. Like I'm born to be a mother. And it's like, no, that's not how it works.
Right.
It's okay that you have no idea what the heck is going on. So don't stress, but it doesn't mean that you're any less of a mom just because you've never done this before, because nothing can prepare you for motherhood. So that was kind of like four in one, but
No,
that
that
was really
last one was so huge. I just want to say one
That
thing
was
about
great.
that because I, as someone who had worked with infants and toddlers for 8 years before becoming a mom, had a baby and was like, I don't know what the F I'm doing. And I feel so much for all these moms who actually also don't know what they're doing and who don't have like that ability to lean back on like, but I've been with infants and toddlers. So that is huge. There's not some like natural magic that like enters your body that's like, I know exactly what to do with these millions of things to make sure this baby is growing up perfectly. So you learn by doing and all the things. So thank you for saying that. Where can people find you? Can you share all the ways?
yes. So our handle is at We Are More Than Moms. And we also have a podcast, We Are More Than Moms. And our website, wearemorethanmoms.com. And we can also access the next chapter. So if you are in that transitional period, whether you just had a baby, are about to, are a few years out, however many years out, check it out. And we would love to be part of your journey and help you discover your next chapter.
Thank you
Yes,
guys
it's
so much.
I don't know when this podcast is launching, but it will be launched right after July 4th weekend.
Great. Maybe we can line it up. Thank you guys
Yeah,
so much. I
love that.
can't wait to be on yours
Thank
too.
Thank
you.
you so
Yes.
much. Yes, we're so excited to have you on ours.